Hello, I'm Alice Rhodes. I want to share with you one of my hobbies, doll repainting. A while back ago, I rewatched all of Winx Club and I decided I wanted to do a doll repaint of Aisha. Here is my first sketch of a design of what I wanted to do, reusing a Monster High doll body. I decide I want to give her pointed ears, and I try to sketch out onto the proportions of the face of the doll how to make the eyes look a bit more like how they're stylized in the show. And then I sketched out how the outfit should look on the Monster High body. I decided to use a Claudine doll, Generation 2. Got this doll for probably about $5 for this exact purpose. I boil some water and then dip her head into the water so that I can soften that vinyl to take the head off. And once that head is nicely taken off, I go in and I start cutting the hair off, getting it as short as possible, so then I can go in and start taking it out from the root inside the head. I always end up accidentally scraping up the face a little or cutting a hole whenever I do that. And then I go in with 100% acetone to get the face off. And then I cut off the ears, making sure to get it as close as possible to the head and sand it out. I also try to sand up the scrape that I got on her face from earlier, and then I sand out the hair from the legs and arms. I wasn't able to get it as close on the legs, so I went ahead and just decided to leave it alone because it's going to be covered by her boots anyway, and I just focused more on getting it as smooth as possible on the arms. Then I use some hot glue to re-glue her ears on so she can have her little pointed elf ears. And then I fill in the holes with hot glue so I have something to glue the hair down on later. Making sure to clean up around the edges as much as possible after I get it all glued down. And then I start off with some soft pastels to blush the face and add in some shadows. I'm using mainly warm colors to just try to give some life to the face. Lots of reds, oranges, and then some browns. Only using maybe a bit of purple when I'm doing the shadows. And make sure to just slowly add that in with a makeup brush, even adding some depth to the ears that I glued on as well. Then I also do the same with the body, making sure to color in all the joints, building up color slowly because I want to make the overall body a bit darker. Again, keeping with reds, oranges, a bit of browns, and occasionally some purple for the shadowing. Making sure to get around all the places the shadows would be, build up from the shadows, and then add more color to the rest of the body as I build up from the shadow areas. Going back and forth between both the body and the face to make sure they stay in the same tone. And after every layer or so, I spray it with Mr. Super Clear before I go back to add more. It usually tends to be a bit lighter after you spray it, so you need to spray it a few times and build up a few layers, especially if you're wanting to add more color to make it darker, which is what I was wanting to do here. I just wanted the skin to be a bit darker than what Claudine starts out with. Just going back and forth between the body and the face. I also tend to use an eraser to clean up a bit if I don't like exactly how it's looking. You just can't erase after you've already sprayed it with super clear. Yeah, sometimes I'll switch to use my fingers because I feel like it's easier for me to blend than with the brush, especially on the body with how the plastic differs from the face. Then I go in on the face, adding some blush and the very first tint of the lip color, and I use my watercolor pencils to start drawing out the eyes. I want to keep my watercolor pencils really sharp while I'm doing this, to have it really clean, and then I always have like an eraser nearby to clean up the edges. I just want to get those initial shadows in and that white, like building up that original white to work with before I color in the eyes, is always where I want to start at. And I make sure to get several coats of Mr. Super Clear in between, because it takes a few layers before you build up that white. Making sure to add blush here and there with the soft pastels as I get the eye shape figured out more so that the makeup makes sense for the face. And then going in with some eyeshadow. I wanted to do a green, and then I make sure the shadow of purple. A lot of times when I'm working with greens or browns, I like to shade with the purple color. As I go in and get more of that white, I start to still draw in the eyelashes a bit, just getting the outline of the eye at first. Again, now I'm starting to finally add in the green to get the green color of the eyeshadow since I got the shadows in already. Adding white on top to get the lighter part of the eyeshadow. Again, always keep an eraser handy and a sharpener handy to clean up here and there. Yeah, just switching between the colors. I really want to get the eyeshadow in nicely. And then I slowly fill in the eyebrows and add more color as I keep going in between Mr. Super Clear layers. Eventually, I'm working to have that more of a pure white on the eyes before I go in to do the actual irises. Again, darkening the eyebrows, getting more of the eyeshadow, cleaning up to make sure the shapes match. Honestly, this is the best part to doing doll repaints. I just love drawing the faces, and then I get bored with it, so it takes me forever to do the rest of the doll. Okay, and then finally going in with the irises, getting the blues in there. I slowly build out the color to get to the exact color that I want. And I'm still going in and adding more to the eyeshadows because I realized I didn't really have that shape that I wanted for the eyes. So just slowly building up the blue to get the right blue color that I wanted. Then adding in the pupils, and I always start with just a darker version of the actual eye color before I go in and add any black. Because I want to build it up. I notice the body's not really matching the face anymore, so I do have to go back in and try to darken it up. This last time of darkening up didn't work out too well though. I don't think it looks as clean or smooth. The blending doesn't. I think I just went in too dark too quickly, and that was on me. But once the face is all done, I start to glue on hair wisps. I used this yarn I found. I thought it would look interesting. I got it as close of colors as I could. I like really how it came out. It's a lot different from how her hair actually looks, but I wanted to try something different. And I just use a tacky glue to glue these down. See, I got a little bit of the red streaks to add in. And I just slowly glue a piece down, let it dry, then add another piece, glue it down. And it looks a bit messy. It's really thick with this yarn that I decided to use, but I still like how it turned out. Then lastly, after I get all that glued on, making sure to always glue the opposite direction when you do the hair part. I style the hair to match how her hair is styled. Then I add these little paper curlers with hairpins to curl the hair. And I just let that sit to the side and then go into working on the clothes. Cutting the patterns and using this green fabric that I just bought from Walmart to make the clothes. So I cut those initial patterns, then I cut the material. And I'm really not good at making doll clothes. So I start off, I sew the clothes together, and then I used tacky glue to glue the trim. And again, I'm not that great at doll clothes, so it's something I need to work on. So I plan on just gluing and sewing the outfit to her body at this point, because it'd make it a lot easier on me than it being able to be taken off. And I don't plan on really changing her outfit anytime soon. And if I did, it would probably be to just redo her doll all over again to fix her up. Because I gotten better at this. So I decided that it's going to be permanent. And I just used tacky glue and added a lot of glitter to her outfit. I decided, why not make her super sparkly? And then I sew on the outfit. I sew the top on. After I'm done fighting with that to get it through and sew it on, I also decided to reinforce with tacky glue and use more tacky glue to add more glitter here and there. And then I also do the same with the pants. I just decided to glue it. And then I make sure to add more glue to add some glitter to it. Now, she does have the lighter green spots, so I decided to get the green lighter just by adding paint to it. And then I add some glitter while I'm painting. Just a little bit. I don't want as much glitter on the lighter spots, so then it's just not so much on top of each other. So I go with something like that. And again, I'm planning on gluing this to her since I don't plan on taking the outfit off. So I'm thinking how to do that. I decide it's not light enough. I lighten it up a bit more before finally deciding how I'm going to glue it. I use just jump rings to create the metal parts of her outfit. It worked pretty well, and I just glue it on, holding it till it dries. And I haven't had any issues. It hasn't came off at all, so I feel like that was the best way to do it. So once I got that skirt on there, check to make sure leave it alone still for the dry, and then I check on the curls. It's not exactly holding up super strong, so I let the curler sit a bit longer. And then I use jump rings for the bracelets too, using that wire tool to clasp it around her arm so it doesn't move at all. And I got them tight enough. They did stay in place. I didn't have to use glue after a while. Then I begin the process of attaching the top part, adding the jump ring to it, which I had to hold in place. So you can see the tacky glue still drying, and then I glue down the other part. And this was a lot of work, trying to hold it in place and get the tacky glue to stay, to then get this to wrap around her body. But once I got in place, it held up really well. I haven't had any issues since I got it. Then I work on the shoes. I make the heels out of paper clay and I sand that down to get it as smooth as possible. Then I make sure I paint them white after that. And I let those dry while I work out cutting out wings. I use this clear plastic scrapbook paper I found to cut out the wings. Making sure I size them right to the body. I cut out several just to make sure I have enough in case I do something wrong. But after I get all those cut, I originally tried to glue the wire structure to it with tacky glue and just like double layer it. And it did not work. That did not hold at all. That was not a good idea. So I ended up having to redo it, and I just recreate the structure, but with hot glue instead. And I made it so that will just stick into her clothes, so then it just slides into the back of her top and it holds in that way. Go in and I add some more glitter just to make sure it's very visible. I think about adding these little glitter pieces that I have. After I get it on there, I don't like it. Then I end up taking it off. It was just too much. But I do add some glitter to the face. Originally putting on a whole lot, and then I just clean off, making so there's just a little bit on her cheeks and her eyeshadow. Lastly, I start on the boots. So I'm going to glue, I originally planned on gluing just the material to the heels and then attaching it to her body, but that did not work right. It didn't have the same structure and the shape of the shoe that I wanted. So I went in and I attached the heel to her foot, adding more clay to form the top base to glue the material down on. Yeah, so from there I then glue the material onto the shoe on her body, and then I add glue to add more glitter to the shoes as well. Just slowly adding it and letting it dry over time. Here's the finished outfit. It's definitely better than what I've done in the past. I do think I have a lot to work on, but that was that. And here's her face, how it turned out. It lost a lot of its color once I added the finishing onto it, so I don't know. I might have to go in and add more color eventually. But for now, I think she's good. And also, I made sure to heat up the head before I attach it back on, so I don't break the neck joint. There she is, the finished product for now. Eventually, I might redo her so that I can fix up some things, but I need a lot more practice with other dolls before I'll go back and fix an older one. But I went ahead and I took some photos of her just outside, get some nature shots, using a doll stand, trying to take photos where you don't see it always. Yeah, there's just something about the finishing I used on the face. It really dulled her eyes after putting in all that work to it. So I'm a little disappointed in that. And but for the most part, I'm really happy with her. I think she's cute. I do like how the hair looks. I think choosing the yarn was a good idea. But that's it for my first doll repaint video.